Hello, everybody, and welcome to Courageous Leadership in Transformational Times. Phew. It's a new year filled with new hope, new possibilities, and of course, new challenges. So please jump on as you're jumping on live, or if you're watching the replay. Please tell me who you are, where you're from, and what's coming up for you, what's resonating with you in this presentation. So with that being said, your old ways of connecting and leading may no longer serve your teams, your clients, or your followers. Not that anything was wrong with how you served and supported in the past, but let's face it, after the year we've just endured, business as usual is not going to work. These things are not going back to normal. There is no normal. So my name is Eva Medilek. And as an executive certified high performance coach, I help you bring your A game to that next level of success and leadership in your life without sacrificing your health, well-being, or your relationships in the process. And I'm here to speak with you today about courageous leadership and how you can show up as a courageous, influential leader at home, at work, and in your communities. And you might be thinking, well, I'm not a leader, or I'm not in a position of leadership. Well, I'm going to challenge you not to sell yourself short. Who you are being and how you are showing up in the world is being watched more closely than you realize. You have an opportunity to lead by challenging the thoughts, inspiring the actions, and the role modeling of behavior in transformational times. So yes, you are a leader. Now let's talk about courageous leadership and courage. So what does courage mean or look like for you? I'd love to have you put in the chat what you think courage is, because you'll hear many ways to define courage. My favorite way to define courage is simply taking action in the face of fear. Basically, being afraid and doing it anyway. And in the doing action of being courageous, you are gaining confidence, decisiveness, and momentum. So how do we begin to gain more confidence and courage in our lives? How do we live courageously, take bold action, not only in times of chaos and challenge, but in each and every day of our lives? That first step is you got to have awareness of what you fear. You have to know yourself before you can grow yourself. Learning what you fear and how you develop those fears is an instrumental first step in taking courageous action in your leadership. Commonly, we have fears for our physical health and safety in dangerous situations. You know that fight or flight when the saber-toothed tiger is coming for us? Well, we no longer have saber-toothed tigers, right? But we still have that fight or flight response in dangerous situations. But what fears do we have when our life is not in danger? Well, there are three types of fears that challenge our courage and courageous action. The first fear is the fear of loss. The fear that perhaps changing what we do and how we do it while attempting to advance our lives will cause us to lose something important to us. For example, what if your business becomes wildly successful? You're making more money, you're having an impact, but the increased responsibility is taking time away from your family and your relationships are suffering. What if your success makes your spouse feel uncomfortable or insecure? What will you lose if things change? This fear is often underneath our resistance and procrastination and falls under the guise of, I don't have the time or energy to, and you fill in the blanks. You see, in my Success Without Sacrifice program, I work with my clients on this fear a lot. I show them ways that you can have more by doing less, and how they can live a life of both and not a life of either or. It's a new way of being balanced, but not equal. Now, the second thing we fear is the process. What if the process or mere act of taking action, of taking the action that we need to take is too hard for us? Or what if we can't do it? What if we give up before we started, or give up as soon as the going gets tough? So here's something you may not like to hear, but often laziness and lack of self-discipline and personal integrity to oneself are at the root of this fear, if we're honest. Nothing changes if you don't change. And in order to have different results, you've got to be willing to make different choices. It takes discipline to be congruent to a new habit, practice, or principle that will have you show up as your most courageous self. For example, when I signed up for an endurance challenge a few years ago, I imagined myself getting in great shape, making great friends, having great connections, and crossing that finish line to cheers. But in order for that to happen, I had to make some changes and stick to them for 4 months leading up to that challenge. I had to show up to my coaching calls. I had to train according to the schedule. And that required a new level of discipline and integrity to keep the commitment I made to myself and the commitment I made to the challenge that I signed up for. It was hard. I had to wake up very early in the morning to do the training before work. I was traveling a lot at that time, so it meant I had to figure out a way to train with or without equipment in a hotel room, even before some of the hotel fitness centers opened up. The process was hard and challenging, and most days I would spend a significant amount of time telling myself how hard it was and trying to talk myself out of it. Doing it anyway, when my own voice was the voice of doubt and procrastination, was the hardest part. But I did it anyway, and the experience and the rewards were priceless. I competed in and I completed that challenge better than my doubting self thought I could. I kept some of those habits and practices that I incorporated in those trainings to this day, and it's a part of my morning routine that sets me up to win the day. So what is it that you are afraid to do because you fear the process will be too hard or challenging? And what if it is hard? Why do we want everything to be easy and comfortable? Because here's the thing, growth, and dare I say life, is happening outside of our comfort zones. We all know that. The mountain can look really big when you're starting at the bottom, and then you look up and the fear of that climb can be paralyzing and overwhelming. Trust me, I know, my husband makes me climb mountains all the time. And that brings us to the third fear, fear of the outcome. What if you put in all of this effort into changing and challenging yourself and it's not what you thought? What if the top of the mountain isn't that great and you don't like the view? What if the grass is not greener on the other side and it's just not what you expected it to be? That fear will keep you from even trying. You stepped up in courageous action and leadership and it didn't turn out the way you hoped. So put in the chat, what is it that you fear? Is it fear of loss, fear of process, fear of change, fear of the outcome? What is it that you think is your fear holding you back? And here are some questions you can ask yourself and journal about for you to become aware and more acutely aware of what you fear. So in your journal, answer these questions. I haven't taken bold action in this area because I'm afraid that I might lose, and fill in the blank. I haven't taken bold action in this area because I'm afraid the process might bring on these hardships in my life. I haven't taken bold action in this area because I'm afraid that in spite of all of my effort, the outcome might not be good and I can end up, fill in the blank. And then after you do all that, when I have the courage to take bold action in this area of my life and leadership, my life will be different in this way. Because being a leader in today's world demands more than leadership has demanded in the past. It's so obvious. What had worked before is no longer working today, at least not at the level it once had. And it's time for your next level of leadership. It takes courage to tell the world what you're about and how you're thinking, and doing it more consistently will build confidence within yourself and in your communities. You see, in taking bold, courageous action, you'll develop resiliency in taking on major tasks and challenges that will bring more influence and impact to your leadership. We've been dealing with a pandemic, political divisiveness, and a heightened awareness to systemic racism and racial insensitivities for some time now. And to pretend that it doesn't exist and sprinkle these issues with love and light is highly irresponsible, especially if you're having any level of leadership and influence in your family, with your teams, your clients, and in your business. So we cannot afford to become tone deaf to the fears, the frustrations, and the concerns that are being felt by humans all over the world. Being a leader in transformational times demands a next level of presence and purpose. So what does that mean exactly? Well, first of all, look around at the leaders that you follow. What are they present to? What are they messaging? What questions are they asking in their communities to become more present and aware of the temperature? Or have they been conducting business as usual without any acknowledgement of what individuals in their communities may or may not be experiencing or feeling or fearing or needing? You see, we look to leaders for guidance, direction, and role modeling of behaviors, but we also look to feel seen, heard, acknowledged, and respected by our leaders. Not necessarily to swoop down and fix all of our problems and have all the answers, but acknowledgement of our challenges as well as our triumphs is a key component to feeling seen and heard, especially in these transformational times. So when you look at your own leadership, are you creating a level of presence to what your communities may be experiencing that allows them to feel seen, heard, and acknowledged by you? Being present to the fear, the stress, and the challenges that the world and your community is facing creates a level of trust and safety in you as a leader. Ignoring or bypassing is a level of privilege and denial that is no longer an option in leadership. The emotions are too strong to pretend that they don't exist. Being afraid to step into those emotions on a deeper, more intimate level is damaging your effectiveness as a leader. Leaders rise in times of adversity and turmoil. So what type of leader are you? Is your leadership based on courage or fear? So there are 4 components of leadership that I want to talk to you about that will elevate how you're showing up in times of adversity, turmoil, and transformation. And that first component is simply to ask. Be curious enough to ask what your family, your teams, and your community is feeling and experiencing. Be present to the fact that some people are doing fine while others may be struggling. You may not have all the answers, but being present to the fact that some may be struggling and need extra support will go a long way. Component number 2, listen. Now that you've asked, don't gloss over the response and move on. How can you create that feeling of safety in what was shared with you? We're all hearing a lot of things that we don't necessarily agree with, but when the people in your communities feel seen and heard by you, you will have a greater level of influence and impact with them. That third component, acknowledge. Again, back to being present. Acknowledge the pain, the struggles, the challenges, and even the triumphs of your people. Acknowledge what they are feeling. Now is not the time to make people wrong for what they are feeling and experiencing. Now is not the time to be telling them what they should and shouldn't be doing, what they should and shouldn't be saying. Stop shoulding on your people. You see, acknowledgement is an important step when it comes to increasing your influence and reaching your next level of leadership. So phrases like, I know you're feeling X, Y, and Z. I know this must not be easy. I hear you. I see you, are phrases that will have people feeling your level of presence to their experience. And finally, the fourth component, the ability to have deep, intimate conversations, even when they are uncomfortable. to be able to go deep and peel back the layers of protective armor that keeps us comfortable and the level of leadership that we have been practicing today is invaluable. Real leadership takes intimacy. Real intimacy takes courage. The courage to look in the mirror at your own blind spots and acknowledge those. The courage to help others see their blind spots. The courage to feel the shame and the guilt and the embarrassment of not getting things right. And the courage to keep moving forward until you do. Until you are able to have the conversations that allow you to go deep, your leadership will not be fully effective. Sustainable transformation and change will not happen if you're not willing to feel the feelings of discomfort. Being worried about what others think of you, being worried about perfection, having that looking good mindset will not inspire people to believe in you, buy from you, invest with you, or follow you. All may be good with you, and maybe the changes that are happening in this world have benefited you in some way, but your next level of leadership requires you to be present and have a level of generosity that allows you to see beyond your personal bubble. Leadership is changing. Courage is the new fashion in the leadership wardrobe. So lean into feelings of compassion, understanding, and a deeper level of courage and intimacy so that you can be the role model of courageous leadership in transformational times. So thank you for joining me. And please, I see a lot of you coming on. I don't know who you are because I'm on StreamYard and it just says Facebook user. But I will go back and respond to each and every one of you. So please comment below on what takeaways, like what fears do you find are the main fears that stop you? What takeaways do you have from this from this presentation? And you can leave an emoji because I'd really love to hear your feedback and talk to you about what this has opened up for you. So you can go to talkwitheva.com and we can really connect on a deeper level. But I'd also love to leave you with a free gift for you to download. Because being a courageous leader, there are questions that you can ask yourself on a daily basis to keep you performing at your highest and best self and keep you on your A game in your leadership. So that's why I'd like to gift you with the 6 pillars of high performance. So you can go to evamedilek.com/6 pillars ebook, because being fully present and showing up as your best self in every area of your life will help you in being a courageous leader in transformational times. So before I go, and I want to thank you all for joining, I just want to presence the events of the last couple of days and what happened in Washington, D.C. And I want you to put a 1 in the chat if you know that how you've been showing up gets to step up a level, gets to step up a level in your families, gets to step up within yourself and in your work life, in your communities a level, because this can't die down. We can't be looking at our watch and hoping for this to be over. And when will it be over? And after a couple of weeks, have it die down. I have a Facebook group, some of you know me from there, called The Intimacy of Race, where we have these powerful, intimate, deep, courageous discussions. I would love for you to join me in that group and really get some resources to help strengthen your leadership in these highly transformational times, because this is not going away. I was not surprised at the events, and it will get worse before it gets better. Trust me. How can you show up powerfully and have an impact in your community? So talkwitheva.com. 6 Pillars ebook, evamedilek.com, and let's join forces together to create sustainable change in these transformational times. Thank you for joining me. I believe my 20 minutes is up, and I look forward to connecting with all of you. Have an amazing weekend, everybody. Bye.